Hey, what is up guys? Going to be doing a deck profile and a Chaos Agent build that I'm having a lot of fun with. This is a build using the new card Agent of Doom Uranus or Uranus. Now this card is actually really good because it's a tuner. If you guys actually haven't checked out the video of me using this new card, and this deck is actually pretty good. Basically, this card opens up the doors for any synchro. If you open up with this and you happen to have Venus and you're able to get it out with Sanctuary of the Sky, or if you happen to have Herald of Heaven, you can go ahead and add that Sanctuary in the Sky, which actually does a lot more to this deck. It actually has a lot of utility, which we'll mention later on, but for the most part, it gives you a one-turn, a synchro ability to go for basically whatever you want. Now, unfortunately, you won't be able to make Arcanite Magician, but we'll get to why he's in here a little bit later. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile, explain the choices as we go along. So first off, we got Triple Mystical Shine Ball, the card that you hate to draw, but sometimes it's okay when you have to have enemy controller, but for the most part, this card is atrocious to draw. It's basically, you draw, I'd say it's worse than Wolf Lightsworn Beast, because at least with Wolf Lightsworn Beast, if you draw Solar Recharge, it has, a neutral ability, but Mystical Shine Ball just totally -1. Next up, we have Big Daddy BLS. It wouldn't be a Chaos deck if you didn't have BLS. This card's fantastic. I don't need to say any more about this card. Next up, we're playing Triple Chrissy. I know you guys might be thinking, Asian Ice, the dead draws in this deck are real. I'll admit, sometimes you can have some dead draws, because, double Chaos Sorcerer, BLS, multiple Christia, multiple Hyperion. Yeah, you can sometimes have those bad hands. Bad hands happen to you. This is just a build that I think is really good. Just try it out yourself if you happen to have inconsistency. Hey, maybe add dualities. Hey, maybe drop some cards if you want to. But I feel like Chrissy is too important in this game, because in this game state, we have so many decks where they only can special summon. If you can't special summon, you lose. Like Dragon Rulers are an excellent example of where they are so aggressive, and they basically have Blaster and they have the one Flammable Guard. If they don't have those, or they've already sent those cards to the graveyard, then there's really no outs to Christia. But Christia is just a fantastic card if you can drop this card, which is actually really easy to do. I mean, all you really need is Venus, and let's be honest, Earth adds Venus to your hand, so you should be able to get it relatively soon within the first, 5 turns, hopefully, if you haven't lost by then. But for the most part, if you don't draw Venus relatively quick, yeah, I'll admit the deck does fall apart. You can add upstarts if you want, but I feel like, there's really limited things that you can take out. You can drop some of these if you wish, but then you won't have the consistency of pulling off a first turn ability to go for a Synchro play and a Christia, because that's what you want to do. That is the optimal hand in this deck. But if you don't open up with it, with Venus, that is, you can kind of suffer, but that's where the Darks can come in and kind of stall for a bit. But for the most part, Chrissy, like I said, it just shuts down different decks. Next up, we have Triple Master Hyperion. This just gets rid of problematic cards, and it allows you to go for a play after you've already made your play. And what I mean by that is, let's say you go ahead and you summon Tour Guide, they saw Warning. Well, if you happen to already have Venus is, already in the graveyard, or, if they're still in your hand, you can still throw up a threatening field, or perhaps get rid of stuff before you're going to actually drop your Christia. And, this has the ability to manipulate the amount of fairies in your graveyard, so it's just really too good not to play 3-up. Honestly, if you guys want to drop Christia, I would drop Christia before dropping Hyperion. Hyperion is too good, but I feel like, man, if you can go for a Christia, you just win most duels anyways, and all you need is one Venus. Venus gets you Triple Shine Ball, and then at that point, that's 4 fairies, so that's the way I saw it, and I felt, like I said, it's too good in the game right now. Next up, Chaos Sorcerer, because it is a Chaos variant. Now, you could definitely drop the whole Chaos build if you want to, and play a more pure version with Valhalla Hall of the Fallen, and then Hecatrice, just to get the fairy count. But this is meant to be a Chaos Agent deck, so obviously you gotta play the Chaos Sorcerers. You can drop this to 1. I think 1 is okay, but for the most part, it's always good to have those huge explosive plays. We drop multiple Chaos Sorcerers, you drop the BLS, you drop the Master Hyperion, then you go for that Chrissy to seal the deal on that game. But it's a pretty good card. I really like this card, especially with Effect Veiler, because you get to banish a card, then you get to go normal summon Effect Veiler, go into a Arcanite Magician, and then pop 2 cards. That is significant free advantage. Just by using 2 cards, you've gotten rid of 3 cards, plus you still happen to have Arcanite Magician on board, which can open up plays later on, because remember, the next card that we're going to talk about, the Agent of Doom Uranus, is just so good simply because he's able to manipulate his levels. So you can change his level basically to a 3 or a 2. That's really the only agents that I would play. If you want to, you can play Jupiter, you can play, I think there's Saturn, I don't know, Mars, whatever other agents there are that you want to try. I personally don't find any of them really that great. There is one of them that can like half your opponent's life points, but for the most part, I feel like Venus and the Earth are the main ones, and pretty much once Venus used her effect, there's really no use for more in your deck. So he's able to kind of send a card to the graveyard, so that will really help you out with those dead Chrystias in your hand. Hopefully be able to use those relatively fast. Next up we play 3 Zeradius, Herald of Heaven. Another reason why I felt like triple Chrysia is just, it's really good, plus it just dumps 1 fairy in the graveyard, and then you can go ahead and add this. And then from there, if you happen to normal summon Earth, you know, if Sanctuary in the Sky is on the field, you can actually add a Master Hyperion. And Master Hyperion actually benefits from Sanctuary in the Sky as well. You can activate his effect twice, so that's really good in that aspect. Plus, what I like about Sanctuary in the Sky is it makes it so you don't take any damage, so that definitely is another plus to you know, running Sanctuary in the Sky. But this card, you very rarely will be able to go for rank 4 plays. That's why there's no rank 4 XYZs in this deck. But you know, rank 4's 101 is a fantastic card. You can definitely put it in as well. But for the most part, you just send it to the graveyard and then you just get 1 fairy in the graveyard and add this. Next up, Honest, because it's honest, it's pretty good. Next up, 3 Venus, pretty self-explanatory. Basically, what you want to do in this deck is you want to get Venus out as quickly as possible, and then after you've already used your Venus effect, just go ahead and dump the Venuses. You want to not dump the Earth unless you're trying to make a certain level. By all means, if you're making a certain Synchro monster, don't worry about this. But for the most part, you want to dump your Venuses because once you've already used Venus's effect, Venus does nothing other than be a level 3 monster that has more attack than Earth. But Earth is able to add that Master Hyperion to your hand with Sanctuary in the Sky, so you don't actually want to dump these. At first I was like, well, there's no point of Earth anyways. It gets me a +1, which is actually good, but it's got lower attack. But for the most part, I still think it's much more effective to just send Venuses, unless, like I said, you're trying to go for a specific monster. Next up, just to add to the dark count, I just feel like Torghast is still good. You could actually bring back, you know, this card with Leviar. I wish Leviar could target the 5. If it could target Uranus, it'd be so good. I almost wish this card was level 4 because it would really make this deck so much better, but perhaps that's why they made it 5, because if it was level 4, I don't know if I'd even play Sanctuary in the Sky, because just being able to dump an agent plus be a dark and a tuner is just, it's really good. He's got decent attack too, but for the most part, like I said, you basically get the ability to special summon him, and then you go for any synchro. You get like 1 free synchro in the deck, I would say. Like, you get 1 option to make any synchro you want for the right situation. Plus, he's dark, so he actually can make Beals, which is actually really good in the game. But be expected to lose to 101, because that will probably happen a lot. Next, I played Spirit Reaper just to add to the dark count, because the only dark cards that you'll essentially send to the graveyard. Oh, another thing I wanted to mention, which is actually pretty cool, his effect, okay, you special summon from your hand, but once per turn you can send another agent monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, it changes its level. So you can send another copy of himself, so that's really good just to help with the darks, because sometimes, you know, once you special summon, you know, let's say BLS or something, you might not just have that extra dark, so being able to send another dark is always good, just to keep your dark count up high. I don't really feel like Dark Arm was necessary here. I felt like I didn't run enough darks, but you can change up the build if you really want to. And I feel like 2 tour guides is enough, because I don't like the other tour guide target. Like, I don't really care too much about Night Assailant, and you know, I don't care too much about like, what is that Karibo card too much, because if you send a Chrysia, you kind of get sad. Yeah, I love Chrysia too much, but you know, if you want, you can also play Call of the Haunted. You can Call of the Haunted Chrysia, but that'd be a completely different build that you can try out with card troopers and stuff like that. But Spirit Reaper is just really fantastic. I feel like he's just a great addition, because sometimes you can get rid of your opponent's stuff, and then you can drop a Spirit Reaper, and then from there you get to go +1, and you know, if your opponent happens to get over your field, you know, and you want to go defensively, you can just move it to a defense position, although he has relatively low attack, so maybe if you've already got that attack in, they can attack Spirit Reaper a bunch of times, so be aware of that. Sometimes leaving Spirit Reaper in attack position is not the smartest thing to do, but you know, just getting rid of those 1 cards certain times is good. Next up, 3 years, pretty self-explanatory, because you want to get Venus as quickly as possible. If you don't have Venus within 5 turns, most of the times you're going to have a bad time. And lastly, for the monsters and the hand traps, we got 2 Effect Failure. I didn't really feel like there was room for Maxi, but I mean, if you want to, you guess you could take out the other traps, but I feel like you need traps in Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, these, in my opinion, are the best traps right now in the game that a lot of decks can run. Breakthrough Skill is also a fantastic card, but if you get matched up against Evil Swarm, this deck can have a lot of trouble. But I did put Temtempo in the main deck simply because of that. Plus, this card is pretty good against, you know, Evil Storm, because, like, what is Ophion going to do against Spirit Reaper? They're going to have to make something, and hopefully by that time you'll be able to, you know, draw the ability to, well, I guess having Venus plus Honest can also get rid of Ophion, but Ophion for the most part can wreck this deck, I'll admit. Next up, I play 2 Mystical Space Harpoon, 1 Forbidden Lance, 1 Enemy Controller. I feel like these two cards are just really versatile, and I really like them a lot. And especially with Daigusto Phoenix, you could open up a lot of OTKs with Uranus over here, because being able to special summon 3 Shine Ball tokens, you tribute a Shine Ball token to take their monster, and then you can go ahead and make a Daigusto Phoenix, and then from there you can go 5 and 3 and make an 8. You can do a lot of different things, and sometimes you can just OTK your opponent, because remember, this card can target itself, so this will be 3,000 attack already, plus you'll be able to, you know, synchro for something. Maybe you can drop a Hyperion after that, and then from there, you've already won. Next up, 3 Sanctuary in the Sky. I almost debated on cutting this to 2, but opening up with this plus this and a Venus, it's just, the more chances you have to open up with that, it's fantastic. I almost contemplated on dropping the Chaos completely, but since I want to do a Chaos build for this video, because I think it's fun to try out other different things, and, you know, he's dark, so, you know, let's just try out different ways to play the deck, and then we can see which one works the best. I honestly feel like Valhalla plus Hecatrice might be a better build because Christia is so good in the game. I mean, what would, well, Giga has so much traps for days, but certain decks like Dragons or what's the other popular deck right now? I would say Dragons. Mermails lose to no special summons, although, of course, Heavy Infantry can pop. But, you know, if they're not able to OTK you, you're going to, if you can drop Christia next turn, Christia has 2,800 attack, so you can get over pretty much most of the stuff in the game anyways. But, yeah, Sanctuary in the Sky, fantastic card just because of being able to get that 1 synchro. Because that 1 synchro is really, really important sometimes in Yu-Gi-Oh!, especially when you get to make that 1 synchro first turn. Next up, Torrent's Tribute, Compulse, and Warning. I still feel like I mentioned earlier, these are the best traps in the game. If you want, you could drop these 3 completely. Yeah, you can play Triple Road Decree if you want. Maybe drop the MSTs. Do whatever you want. Another great card is Herald of Orange Light. I want to definitely do a pure build of this later on in the future. Like, I want to basically drop all the Chaos, throw in the Herald, throw in the Hecatrice, and then just try to get out Christia. But I feel like that really limits you on the combos. There's also another card I really wanted to fit in here, which is actually Birdman. I totally forgot to go over the extra deck, but Birdman just makes the game more enjoyable for me personally. I feel like being able to go for those huge extensive combos is actually really good. Birdman actually, you know, we could take out something. Figure out what you want to take out. Put in a Birdman. You know why? Because Birdman is too fun not to play. So put in this card. Really, it's a dark. If you XYZ with it, it'll still go to the graveyard if you activate its effect, so it won't get banished. But Birdman is too good not to play in here. I used to love playing Agents with triple Birdman just because the ability to, like, bounce back stuff that gets Fiendish Chain is so good. Because sometimes, you know, if you happen to get your Christia Fiendish Chain, just bounce it right back because, you know, it's affecting it, and be like, oh, don't worry about it, now I can go special on Chris again, and let me go ahead and add another card back. And at that point, you've won that game. But Birdman's really good because of the ability to go Venus, special summon Shine Ball from, you know, you special summon the Shine Balls, then you bounce back the Shine Ball to your hand to special summon Birdman. Then you can activate Venus' effect and just special summon it from the hand anyways. Put in Birdman. It's an amazing card. Okay. As far as the extra deck, let's go ahead and go over that. Star Eater's pretty good. This card's amazing. This card pretty much wins games on its own. I've won so many games with Mistform and Agents. I feel like this card's really important. Going for that 1 synchro certain times can just be so crucial. And you always end up adding this card back, I would say, most of the time with Christia. Because, well, I mean, what do you want to add back with Christia? I mean, Honest is good, Hyperion's good, but sometimes early on you don't have those in the graveyard. So adding this, I'd rather add this than adding Venus. Like, what good does Venus do? This is just much better because you can just special summon again and go for you know other synchros later on. But yeah, Mistform is fantastic. Beals, Jewel Red, or actually Hot Red Dragon Archfiend is now what it's called. Shroud Dragon, Stardust, Black Rose, Arcanite Magician, which you make with Chaos Sorcerer plus Effect Failure, Catastor. Add this card, make sure you put in this card because it just adds more darks. So pretty much, if you Tour Guide into this, you have pretty much enough darks for the rest of your deck. So this card's fantastic also. Next up, Levier, Temtempo, just to get rid of Zenmaines. Well, it can get rid of Zenmaines, but the reason why I love this card is because it gets rid of Ophion's last attachment, and then you can special summon, and then you should be good. Then we have Daigusto Phoenix and a Gachi. Like I mentioned, you can play a different build. I actually want to do a different build, but for the most part, I think everyone was, you know, really excited to see Agents come come back into the game. For me, the only thing I don't like about Agents is this card. I really hate this card when I draw it. If I don't draw it and I go first turn and I open it with Venus, everything is okay. Unless you have Effect Brother Max. At that point, I'm a little bit sad. But anyways, if you guys have any suggestions for this build or want to, you know, let me know what else would work in this deck, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts below in the comment section. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. Asian Eyes signing out.